Switching things up here a little bit. We're at the shop today. I got to get some work done. But I figured I'd do a little cold start on the LS swapped Astro van here. I got to move it out of the shop, so I figured see what it sounds like. So we're picking back up at the house. I know it's been about 2-3 weeks since my last video, but it's been a busy couple of weeks, but we're still making progress. We're picking up here. I got the valve grinding tool. I got the compound. I've went and I've lapped all the valves in this bank. The exhaust valves were really bad. I'll throw in a picture here so you can see what I'm talking about. I tried going with this tool, but I think the surface of the valve is just too rough that the suction doesn't stay stuck to the valve. Even if it did, I'd have to grind this thing for so long just to get it to seal. So what I've done is I just got my drill and I put it on the end of this, put it at the end of the stem of the valve here, and I put some oil on the guide so I don't burn that out, and slowly just went back and forth and ground the valves down, which worked a lot better. I also went to the wrecking yard last week. I had to get a couple of things that we needed. Mainly was the wiring harness and ECU. I found a donor truck there. It was completely intact, computer, everything. I even picked up the throttle body and the tack module and the pedal, all from the same truck. I also got a set of exhaust manifolds because the ones I have back over here are all cracked. And they have that ugly looking EGR port on them, which I don't really need. And some coil packs that are in way better shape, a knock sensor harness over there, and some other miscellaneous stuff. I also want to rip down that whole harness. There's a bunch of wires that I can delete from it and shorten and lengthen it, so hopefully I can put the ECU in the factory location in the Audi where the 1.8T ECU would sit, just so it won't look so messy. I do want to stick with drive-by-wire. I see a lot of guys who go to cable. I like the tuning and more functionality to get a drive-by-wire. I don't know how it's going to react when you hit it with boost. I haven't really looked into that yet, but this thing's probably not going to see boost for another year or so. So for right now, I'll just use it the way it is. If I need to switch a cable later, that's fine. I also did get a bunch of gaskets and parts for this thing. I got a complete engine gasket kit. I got a new timing chain, cam gear, and crank gear for the timing chain. I also got a LS1 style crank pulley, so we get more room to sink the crank in more so that we can mount our accessories further back so I can cram this thing in there. The more space in front of the motor that I can save, the better. There's also the LS4 crank pulley. Again, if I want to go to that, I think it's going to be too extreme to find accessories and everything to work with that, because it's just the LS4 is not as popular as an LS1 out of a Corvette or anything like that. I was originally thinking of reusing the factory head gaskets and just copper spraying them and calling it a day. But these ones unfortunately don't look like they're in greatest shape. I probably won't reuse them. I know some people probably think, oh, wait, you're going to reuse head gaskets? Are you crazy? It's one-time use. Well, check out Sloppy Mechanics. Just Google them. There's guys on there that have been reusing the head gaskets 6 times, I think I've read. There's a lot of information there to save you money if you're doing a kind of like a budget build. Some stuff that you can get away with. Even if the head gasket leaks once it's in the car, that's not an issue for me to change it. I like working on it. So, but yeah, we're gonna put new gaskets anyways because it's cheap and whatever. So I got all that coming. So I gotta put the springs back on the head here. Once that's done, I can just clean up this head a little bit, clean the face off, clean this off so I can put the new exhaust gasket on. The gasket should be here later this week. So by the weekend, I'm hoping to have both heads bolted on the engine. I'm gonna leave the oil pan off so that I can slide this thing in the car and I can see how much of a clearance I have in between the oil pan. I know that's probably not gonna fit due to how low the sump sits, but I'll compare how low it sits and compare that to an F-body oil pan off like an early like 2000s Camaro, because those are only about 5 inches, I believe, deep. And if I have to get one of those, then so be it. But other than that, once it's in there, I will see if I need to cut the firewall back anymore and make some mounts up, because I still have the welder and all the metal sitting there for that. Either way, I want this thing done by the weekend so that I can put it in the car. It might start snowing here soon, so the faster I can get this engine in the car, I can clean the garage out and pull it in here and then just tinker away with the wiring harness and all the little stuff. So now I'm just gonna get to it, start finishing off the heads. So we're in it almost an hour now. I've got all the valves lapped here. I had to go with the drill and do them because this doesn't work. It's just too much for these pitted exhaust valves. I could probably just get new ones. But as you can see, it's still got a little bit of marks on there, but it still does seal. I put some Varsol in there and it seems to be holding pretty good even without the valve spring, so I'm not worried about it. You can see the surface there, it doesn't look too bad. The main thing is it seals, so that's all I'm worried about. But there's one thing that I did notice here. I don't know if you can see it, but right there's a tiny, what looks to be a crack. Then if we go to the other heads here, there's one right there. You can't see it, but there is little signs of it. This one shows a little bit better. Yeah, you can see that there, perfect. Little crack there. So I thought these heads were toast, so I looked it up, checked online, and apparently it's not uncommon for these heads to have those cracks there. A lot of people have been getting away with it. There's some people that said that once you get some power or too much timing or too much boost, that crack will open up. I don't see any way coolant might get through that crack or anything like that. The main concern to me is it's gonna get under that valve seat, and if it travels underneath that valve seat, it might open the hole up a little bit and make this valve seat fall out. And what'll happen is that valve won't retract back in the head all the way, because it'll sandwich the seat in between the head and the valve. And what'll happen is the piston will come up, smash the valve, and then you're talking about head, engine, everything's fried. So judging by how much success everybody's having, I'm just gonna go with it. The engine was $200-300. I'm not gonna stress about trying to find new heads now. That is probably gonna cost me that much, so we're gonna send it. So now I'm just gonna throw the valves back in it, throw the valve springs back on, and now we're gonna have the heads done. And all I need to wait for now is gaskets to bolt the heads on, then I don't have to worry about taking them off anymore. And then hopefully on this weekend I can throw the engine in the car and see how it fits. I know this video is a little short and I haven't been posting them a lot lately, but I'd rather post a video now of where I'm at instead of waiting until the weekend and waiting another week for a video. So I'll leave it off there, and hopefully next week I'll have a new video out of the engine going in the car, and hopefully we'll make some good progress. So if you guys like what you see, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and keep following along with the build to make sure you don't miss any other videos. I really appreciate the feedback that's coming in so far. So far it's been all positive, which it's motivating to see, and I'm getting the hang of the whole YouTube thing here still. So yeah, leave it off there, and hopefully the next video we'll see it in the car.